Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Hope you guys are doing well. It is 11/11, November the 11th. Time flies when you're having fun, don't it? I'd like to say I'd be glad when 2020 is over, but I don't know that 2021 is going to get any better much soon. Still dealing with all this sickness and all this crap and all this drama. Who knows? Who all we got on? Let's see. Jimmy, Josh, Mike, Heidi, what's up? Mark, Chad, Clint, how are you? Asleep? What's going on? Slab Buster, what's going on? Let me start out, guys, by saying Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. Today is Veterans Day. Yesterday was Marine Corps birthday. Happy birthday to all the Marines out there. But Happy Veterans Day to all that served today. Thank y'all for your service. Guys, I know last week we talked a little bit about doing some more screenshots. We're not going to do that this week. I actually am supposed to be leaving early in the morning for a fishing trip. It's East Tennessee Crappie Club's members trip this weekend. I'm supposed to be leaving actually tonight, really. Not even in the morning, more like tonight, to go on that. But we're not going to do screenshots tonight. I'm really just going to be on here long enough for you guys to ask some questions. I have to get up extremely early. Just wanted to come on and tell you guys about my last weekend, I guess, about fishing last week, and then let you guys ask some questions if you have any questions from this week or last week, and then we'll probably call it a night. So it's probably going to be an early night, guys. I'll try to get to all the questions that I can, but we'll see how it goes, okay? Let's see. I see a super chat. Josh Sanders, thank you for your service and everyone else who has served. I appreciate it. You're very welcome, sir. Thank you for acknowledging the service, and I'd do it again tomorrow if need be. So thank you, Josh. I appreciate the super chat. If you're new to the lives and you don't know what the super chat's for, super chats are for a way. It is a way for you guys to give back to the channel. Down there below the comment section, your little comment bar, there's a little money sign. That is what you click to give a super chat. It's basically a donation to the channel to help keep me on the water and producing good content for you guys. It takes a lot of time out of my life and out of my family's life to do YouTube and do the videos for you guys. And every little bit helps, guys, okay? So if you ever want to give back to the channel, super chats are a great way to do that. You can do those on Wednesday nights while we're live. And I'll stop what I'm doing and say thank you. So thank you very much, Josh. I appreciate it, buddy. Last weekend, so let's see. Last weekend, I fished, I talked last week about Chickamauga and about, a lot of anglers on Chickamauga are seeing the same thing. They're seeing a lot of small fish. And not really catching a whole lot of fish, and definitely not catching a whole lot of big fish. So I went down to Chick Saturday, fished all day, caught 86. And when I say all day, it was 7 to 2, 7 to 2:30 was the time that I fished and caught 86. Probably had with my largest 7 fish around 8 to 8.25 pounds. Did not catch a whole lot of big ones. I'm not sure, what's going on Chickamauga, but I found docks, guys, that had 1,000 fish under them. Well, that's probably an exaggeration, but there was probably 300. There's probably 300 fish under some of the docks down there. They just wanted to eat. You could literally feel your jig bouncing up against fish as you retrieved it underneath the docks. It was insane. I foul hooked probably half a dozen fish because I felt them hit the line and jerked, and actually foul hooked them in the belly, underneath the mouth. I mean, I hooked them in the tail, all over the place. So, yeah, that lake's not fishing very good. I mean, it's fishing good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, 86 fish in a day. Probably half of those were keepers, about half and half, 50-50. That's not a bad day of crappie fishing, guys. It was very productive. Just not a whole lot of big fish. I don't know. The big fish are yet to be seen. So, and that's been kind of the reports I've been getting from Chick was the big fish just hadn't showed up this year. I can concur that they're just not showing up like they normally do. So we'll see what happens as the winter goes on. Maybe as it gets colder and the water gets colder, maybe they'll show up more. So I'm definitely going to go fish more and see if I can find some bigger fish. Let's see what you guys got going on. Let's see. A lot of hellos. Hello to everybody. Slab Happy Lewis is when they pull water, do the crappie follow the current? Yes. Crappie will follow a rising or a falling water. So if the water's falling, the crappie will move out and follow that water. If the water's coming up, they'll move up and follow the water. So whichever way the water's going is the way they're gonna lean. Andrew Alonzo, thanks for your service. Thank you, sir, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. I'd do it again tomorrow, like I said earlier. So thank you very much. I appreciate it, Andrew. Happy Veterans Day again to all the veterans out there, including myself. Thank you for the super chat, Andrew. Alan Wetzel. Alan said, I super chat third Saturday of the month from September to April. That's East Tennessee Crappie Club's schedule, guys. Third Saturday of every month from September to April. So that's when Alan says he gives his super chats. Well, that'll work, Alan. Thank you. That's a pretty good one. Blake Hawk, what's going on, Blake? So yeah, he says my bedtime is at Lake Fork Marina, might just move, or my bed tonight is at Lake Fork Marina, might just move. So Blake is down in Texas at Lake Fork. They're doing the ACC Owners Tournament this weekend, which I was unable to get to go to because I already had plans to go on the East Tennessee Crappie Club trip. And could not cancel those or reschedule those. So I am unable to be there at Lake Fork. It's killing me. I wish I could be at Lake Fork, but I will be at the next one. That's for certain. And the next one is coming in April. So I will be at that one for sure. The next ACC tournament. Wired for Crappie and Mr. Matt Zenas will be there to hopefully show up and show out. I don't know. We'll see. But I'll be there rocking it. That's for sure. And I may even do some live stuff that day and let you guys watch it live in April. So that's a long way from now, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Heath McDaniel says that's going to be a rough trip. Rain plus a cold front working its way through here. Heath, where are you at? Are you down at Hartwell? Or are you down in Texas? Marshall says, Happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service. No problem, Marshall. Thank you, buddy, for acknowledging it. I appreciate you. Happy Veterans Day. Stephen Martin, Matt, I seen a guide reeling in fish left and right at the mouth of a pocket. After he left, I went to the. I don't see any more, Steve. Where'd you go? Oh, here we go. That spot, and there was no brush. What was going on? I couldn't get a bite. Stephen, I don't know. I don't know what pocket it was, but my guess is there's some kind of structure there that he was keying in on. It could have been something so small that you may not have seen it, but there was probably something there, would be my guess. Fish will suspend in open water. What's up, Hope? But my guess is there was some kind of structure there somewhere. Slab Buster says, Happy Vets Day to you, Sergeant Matt. Thank you, Slab Buster. I appreciate it. Josh Sanders, GPS me those docks. You probably fish most of them, Josh. I mean, everybody fishes the same docks. I think that may be what's hurting Chickamauga right now, because I went in one slough down there, fished. There's 4 or 5 docks in there, and while I was in there fishing those 4 or 5 docks, there were 6 other boats that came in there and fished the same docks and left. 6 other boats with 2 anglers per boat came in there in 20 minutes. I was only in there 20 minutes, and there were 6 other boats came in. So they're getting beat up pretty good, and that may be a lot of the reason that you're not catching a lot of fish down there, or you're seeing a lot of fish but not getting a lot of fish. They see baits constantly. So I'm not saying that's that case, but could be. Andrew, so being of last week killed the crappie. Then it warmed up and struggled to find them. Also blue skies. So what should I do to help find them? Find shade, Andrew. High pressure, bluebird skies. You want to look for shade. You want to look for, denser cover that throws more shade, and you want to fish in the cover, rather under a dock, okay, or in the brush. On a bluebird day, high pressure, it's going to put fish tighter to cover, because obviously the water column is going to be brighter because there's more sun, and it's going to push fish closer to cover. So don't be afraid to fish in the cover, and try to find some thicker stuff or some good docks that'll hold fish, okay? Terry Landry says, Happy Veterans Day from one vet to all who have served. Happy Veterans Day, Terry. Daryl Quarles, do you think you lose any feel using a 2-piece rod? Not a bit. Nope, not a bit, Daryl. I was a 1-piece man for years. And then I picked up an ACC crappie stick that was 2-piece. And I was a 6-foot 1-piece rod guy for years. And I thought, I'll never get rid of my 1-piece 6-footer. I'll always keep my 1-piece 6-footer. And then I picked up a ACC 6.5 footer that was 2-piece. And I thought, yeah, I like this. And then I went to the ACC crappie stick 2-piece 6-footer. And it was like, I really like this. So, no, I don't think you lose any feel, Daryl, at all with the 6-footer. Heath says fish teleco on Saturday, 8 keepers and probably 20 small ones. Well, Heath, you're not going to want to watch my video that comes out tomorrow because you're going to get upset about it. I fished teleco this weekend as well and slayed them. Biggins. So I had bigger fish on teleco this weekend than I did on Chickamauga. So it was you'll see the video. So video will be out tomorrow, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So super chat, Steve Martin, thank you for what you do, buddy, and for trying to answer my questions, no matter how silly they may be. There is no silly question, Steve or Steven. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. The only silly question is the one that's not answered, guys. Look, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Everybody is at a different level in their crappie walk, right? So when I started crappie fishing 12 years ago, I knew nothing about crappie. I literally came out of the turkey woods one day. There was a guy sitting there beside my boat on the bank, and he was catching crappie out of this fallen tree. And I'm like, what are you catching? Because he's catching them every cast. He said, crappie. I was like, really? So I went to the house, grabbed a fishing rod and some minnows I said, what are you catching them on? He said, minnows. I went to the bait shop, got some minnows, got a little rod from the house, and went back, threw a float in there and started catching fish. And I was like, hey, this is cool. And then I saw a guy 2 months later that was longline trolling. And I was like, hey, what you doing? He's like, I'm trolling. And I said, what are you doing? What are you trolling for, crappie? I said, hey, do that. And he told me about it. And I went and bought some rods, and I started doing it for years. That's the only way I knew to catch crappie. You either throw a float in a minute in fallen trees, or you go out there in the middle of the lake and you longline troll. I didn't know. I'd catch them or I wouldn't. I might go troll around for 3 hours and catch 2 and go home. I mean, that's where I was at in my walk, right? So there is no silly questions, guys. Don't be afraid to ask a question. Thank you, Stephen, again for the super chat. If you don't ask, you'll never get the answer. Okay? So no silly questions. Josh, does Melton Hill tend to have more black or white crappie? It's about a mix. Josh. I've caught both. Slab Happy Lures. Next question. You winking at me? Do you believe if the water temp drops just 2 degrees, does that affect the bite? No. Not 2 degrees, it won't. Reason being is because if the surface temp drops 2 degrees, generally the deeper depths, the layers of the water column are not going to be affected, because 2 degrees isn't enough to affect 10 feet down. Does that make sense? So no, it's not going to affect it. I mean, no, not this time of year. On Douglas in the dead of winter, maybe on some of the flats up there above Swans and Nina Creek area and stuff, and those 3-4 foot flats, maybe a little, but no. Not 2 degrees. Now, 8 degrees, yeah, maybe, but not 2. Because the water temperature, I mean, from the time it gets daylight to lunch, it's going to warm more than 2 degrees. So the surface will. On a sunny day. Let me say that. Major Brown, when changing colors, do you stay with the same color palette, hues, or do you go to the complete opposite end of the color spectrum given water clarity? Thoughts? I'm trying to think how I want to answer this question. I know the answer, but there's about 4 different ways I could answer it. So Major Brown, typically I'm going to stay within the same color palette the first 2 or 3 color changes. Okay. So if I'm on a pile and I see fish, or on a dock and I see fish, and I'm fishing with a slick, okay, which is kind of like a monkey milk color for those that don't know bonehead colors. I'm fishing with slick, right? I may switch up to a moon dust, and then I may switch up to a purple mist. But at that point, if I don't get any bites, then I'm completely changing. I'm going away from translucents. I'm going to, a white and chartreuse, a black and chartreuse, a purple and chartreuse. I'm going completely away from clear water translucent colors. And I'm going to go with something that's more visible and that stands out a little bit more. I do not go typically, Major Brown, I do not go like orange and chartreuses, bright pinks and chartreuses. I don't get that vibrant with my colors, but that's because we're in clear water over here. We don't really have, with the exception of Loudon after it rains for 3 weeks straight, we don't really have a whole lot of muddy water. So most of it's clear water conditions. But that's not to say I wouldn't. So to answer your question, I probably stay within that palette and those hues. I may play with my colors a little bit to where, like if I'm fishing with a slick that's just kind of a clear and a flake, like a black flake, I may throw in like a baby blue or a purple or something like that, just to try to stay on that translucent side and add a little color. And then I just kind of build from there until I find what they want. Does that make sense? Lucas Severe, are you going to record some of your fishing trip? I'll be 100% honest with you guys. I wasn't. I was going to just take some time for me. It's a lot, guys, to be honest with you. You've got every Wednesday night. You've got, every weekend I'm recording. And I'm trying to get good content for you guys. I love it. I absolutely love it. Let me say that. But it is a lot. It is a lot of work. There's editing involved. There's recording, editing, uploading, all of the different pages and everything. It's a lot. So I was going to take some time for me, but I have had some plan changes. My partner that was going to go with me, actually something came up and he can't go. So, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, probably. I'll probably take a little time and film. And, yeah, probably will, Lucas. Because if I'm out there in my boat by myself, talking to myself, I'm probably going to be looked at as a weirdo. But if I put a camera on and talk to the camera, then I can always blame it on the camera being on, right? I can say, hey, no, I'm not talking to myself. I got a camera going. So maybe people won't think I'm a weirdo down there in South Carolina, but yeah, probably will. Uh, 285 Proxel. Okay. At what water temperature do the crappie move to the docks on East Tennessee lakes? Well, to be honest, they never really leave the docks. So, they're pretty much on docks year round on most of our lakes. They just kind of move from shallow docks to deeper docks, and then back to shallow docks and kind of the in-between docks or the mid-range depths. But anyway, they never really leave. The best time to fish docks is probably winter in East Tennessee. And at what water temperature do they move? They're probably going to start moving around, really hitting docks hard about 60 to 62 is when they're going to start really thinking about it. Uncle Bill, how's it going? Robert from Arkansas, what's up? Here's a good question. Ronnie Harris says, are all of ACC crappie sticks two-piece? No, not all of them. Some of their shorter rods, I think there's a 5.5 footer that's a one-piece and a 5 footer that's a one-piece, but everything above that is two-piece, yes. Now, there was a question earlier, do I feel like there's any sensitivity loss? Absolutely not. I think, to be honest with you, you guys know me. I'm not going to talk ill of anybody's product, but coming from the Ozark to the ACC, there's a huge difference in feel between the Ozark and the ACC. And I'm not talking bad of great rods, both ways, good rods, but there is more feel out of an ACC. It's the material of the rod and the buildup of the rod, the way it's built. They're just manufactured different, and I think the composites that make up the rod are different, and that you just get a lot more feel out of an ACC. So, to answer your question, they do have some one piece that are shorter, but I haven't had any issues with the two-piece rods. I really like them. Hope's on here telling lies, guys. He says I don't answer his questions. He's lying. I think. That or maybe I don't get his texts. I'm not sure. Sorry, Hope. But I see you. Let's see. Finding smaller fish in brush piles, 15 to 25 feet, big crappie suspended in 8 to 10 feet of water in groups of 5 to 10 fish. Okay. Where you at, Richard? Larry McBride, do you have an online store to get your t-shirts and hoodies? Yes, sir, I do, Larry. It is at www.wiredforcrappie.com. So I'll put a link down here, guys, and I can't type and talk or I'll spell it wrong. So www.wiredforcrappie.com. We got the hats, we got that's a hoodie. We got hoodies, hats, we got t-shirts, and then we also have cups. So if you guys are interested in a Wired for Crappie silly print cup, those are on the website as well. Check them out, guys. Larry, if you want any of the merchandise, it is on the website. You can purchase it there. We'll put it in the mail to you. Comes quick and easy, and you get your stuff. So if you guys are wired for crappie like me, pick you up some merchandise. It's great looking stuff. It really is, guys. And I appreciate each and every one of you who purchased and do or will purchase. So thank you. And thank you, Larry, for asking the question. I appreciate it. The back of these, back of the shirts have the logo that we had made from the founding members run that we did, the limited edition run. We just took that logo. It does not say founding member on it because only the people who ordered that limited edition run when we first started have the founding member sticker or emblem. But we did use the same logo on the back. So you got Wired for Crappie on the back. It's a great looking logo. I really like it. And then the Wired for Crappie on the front in the pocket area. So great shirts. The hoodies do not have the back. The hoodies just have the front. They just have the Wired for Crappie. And the reason being is because there's a hood on the back, and the hood covers the logo. So we didn't put it on the back of the hoodie because it would just be covered up. And then the hats, of course, have them on the front. Uncle Bill's Crappie Attitude. He said, what is your go-to jig weight? I have two. I fish primarily with a 32nd and a 16th, Uncle Bill. And here's my reasoning for that, okay? As everybody knows, we fish clear water. Look, this Crappie Expo that just happened down in Branson, Missouri, everybody down there was complaining about three things. One, the rain. Yeah, I hear you. It was wet. It sucked. But two, ow, get down. My dog scratched me. The second thing was how clear the water was. And the third thing was they couldn't fish the way they always fished. What do I mean by that? There was a lot of guys, just about everybody down at the Crappie Expo fished the same way with a 10 to 13 foot rod out the front of the boat with live scope straight up and down. And they couldn't do that in Branson because they were fishing clear water and the fish would spook. So they were taking 1/8 ounce jigs and sticking them straight out the front of the boat. Before they could get to the fish, they were gone because they heard the boat coming, or they seen the boat, or the shadow from the boat spooked the fish. I kicked myself for not going to that tournament because it set up perfect the way I fish. I mean, it set up absolutely perfect. And I kind of kicked myself for it. But nonetheless, put that aside. To answer your question, a 16th ounce double cross and a 32nd ounce double cross from Crappie Magnet are my go-to jig heads. And the reason being is because I do fish clear water. I do have to stay back off fish a lot of times. I do have to cast to those fish. And I want that jig to flutter like a dying shad. I want it to flutter down, I want it to come down and flutter, kind of like this, and just kind of flutter down. I don't want to put an 1/8 ounce head on it and it go, because that doesn't look natural to a fish, right? So I like a nice, slow fall on my jig. I feel like I get a better response from fish. I catch a lot of fish on the fall. You can watch them on live scope. They'll run 4 feet up and grab that jig, just hammer that jig. You can set the hook and they're there. When you see them run like that, you can set the hook and they're there almost every time. But that Branson tournament, I kept hearing everybody on the live weigh-ins. They're like, we had to change our style of fishing. We had to get off them and cast to them and pitch to them and did it. And I'm going, why didn't I go to that? Dang it. So 32nd and 16th are my go-tos, and that's why. Okay. Pulled up on a sunken tree this past weekend, loaded with fish. Only caught one crappie, caught more bluegill than we could count. Will crappie hang out with bluegill? Would you leave a spot like that? Jamie, yes, crappie will hang out with bluegill. Bluegill will hang out with crappie. What they will do, though, is generally bluegill will set up on one side of a pile and crappie will set up on the other side, or bluegill will set up on the top of a pile, and crappie set up on the bottom of the pile, or vice versa. Okay. So you just kind of have to figure out where the crappie are. Are they on the bottom? Are they on the top? Are they on the left side, the right side? Where are they at? And then you got to fish for those fish. But yes, they will set up on the same structure. Okay. I won't necessarily, if I'm catching fish, I don't care if there's bluegill there or not. If I'm catching fish, I'll keep sitting there and catching them. But if I'm not catching fish and I'm catching bluegill, yeah, I'm leaving. Okay. That's just me. Favorite color in muddy water. Favorite color in muddy water. Favorite color in any water, pretty much. Black and chartreuse, right there, my friend. Black and chartreuse stump bug is probably that I've said it before, I say it again, it's my go-to bait for any water. Doesn't matter if it's crystal clear or volcanic mud, it don't matter. I mean, it's black and chartreuse. I've caught them in every type of water. That's my definite go-to. Outside of, that's not muddy water color, but because it is mud, but that pumpkin and chartreuse, everybody knows I'm the only one that has these right now. I bought every pack they had left right now. Okay. So that's my next color, my next go-to anyway. But favorite muddy water color is black and chartreuse. He says ACC rods look like they're very well built and balanced. They are. Let's talk about the balance thing for a minute. I get the whole balance thing, and people put a rod on their finger and balance it, and it's all cool and well and good and all that. But let's think about balance for a second. I'm glad you said balance because, let's take this Allen wrench for a second. I can find a spot on that Allen wrench where I can balance that Allen wrench. Have you ever seen everybody, the people hold reels up and they're like, look, it's balanced. It's well balanced. And they put their finger on it and they find the right point and they go, you can balance this reel, right? Your rod, right there. It's balanced. Look at that. Well, every rod will balance, guys. Every rod. Let's talk about what every rod won't do. Every rod isn't well built, right, Heath? Every rod isn't well built. The guides on every rod are not the same. Some guides are going to be subpar. So when I'm looking at a rod, here's what I'm looking at. I don't care where it balances because, they're all going to balance in about the same area, right? Most of them are going to balance right in front of the rod or reel. Excuse me. My dog's digging at my blanket. Go away. He wants up here. What? All right, come on. Say hello. Come here. Say hello. Can you say hello? Over here. Hey. Over here. Hey, over here. No? Okay. Where was I? Yeah, rods. So every rod is going to balance pretty much right in front of the reel because that's where the most weight is on a rod is the reel, for the most part. On a short rod. On some of the longer rods, you've got rods that are heavier than a reel. But let's talk about the eyes. The eyes are not the same. You want something that has good eyes on it, guys. You want something that's got a stainless steel eye, something that you can fish any kind of line on, whether it be braid or mono or fluorocarbon, whatever it is. Braid will dig into carbon fiber eyes or plastic eyes, so you don't want that to happen. A good stainless steel eye, which ACCs have. ACC crappie sticks have the easy cast eye. The first eye is an easy cast eye. It reduces the line slap on mono. Go on now. It reduces the line slap because mono has a memory to it. It's got twist to it. So when it goes through that eye, it reduces the slap and it allows you to shoot further and cast longer. So you've got, some really good eyes on their rods. And then also let's talk about backbone. So you hear a lot of people talk about backbone, and backbone is so important. What is backbone? You hear it all the time. What is backbone on a rod? every rod is going to have a backbone in it that's going to be different. And every rod you pick up is going to have a different backbone to it. It's going to have a different point in that rod. So let's say this is your rod. One rod may have a backbone that's right here. One rod may have a backbone that's slightly behind that, okay, or slightly in front of that. It moves a little bit. It's the make of the rod. All rods are when they're spun, it could be a little bit different. So the backbone in a rod is very important for multiple things. One, for hook sets, when you set the hook on a fish, how many of you guys have fished with a little floppy rod? You set the hook and it's like, did it get it? Did I get it in him? And you're setting it again. You're thinking, that didn't feel like I stuck that fish very well. You need to be able, especially for me, when I'm making a cast or making a shot under a dock, I may shoot 50 or 60 feet underneath the dock. And if that fish hits it, when it hits the water, I need enough backbone on that rod that I can bear back on 60 feet of line and get a good hook set and a fish. If I got a little limber, flimsy old rod and I set the hook, I'm not going to get good hook sets with that much line out. So it's very, very important to have a decent backbone, but you don't want too much of a backbone, because if let's say this is your rod again, okay, here's your tip. If you get that backbone too far forward, you lose feel, because then you're fishing with it's like fishing with a metal rod. You lose feel. So it's very important to get a good backbone on a rod that not only allows you to have the feel, but allows you to set the hook and lift those fish without being flimsy and getting a bad hook set. Okay. So yes, ACC rods are balanced, but there's so many other things besides being just balanced. Okay. Handles are great, but there again, handle is just a handle. Okay. It's the makeup and the composite of that rod that makes it so good. And ACC's got it right. So I'm going to get off that subject, but I can talk about rods all day, as you can tell. Now I'm going to stop. So next question, please. Get on my soapbox again. Uncle Bill, there he is. ACC has a solid backbone also. So there's Uncle Bill talking about backbone. I kind of beat you to that one, didn't I? Well, actually, you probably beat me to it, but I just now seen it. So we'll say I beat you to it. But you hear it all the time. You hear backbone, backbone, backbone. Rod's got a great backbone. What's backbone? Why is it important? So now you know. Can you quit scratching me, please? You are wearing my arm out. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Get up here. If you're going to get up here, get up here. They're tired of listening to you. Come on. All right, get down now. All right, dying to try 8-foot with the wind grip from ACC. It's a great rod. It really is. Let us know if you like it. Ronnie Harris, since you like a short rod for dock shooting, would the 5-foot ACC rod be good for dock shooting, or is that too short? It is good for dock shooting, Ronnie. I will say that, but it's a little too short for my preference, for my liking. And I'll say that because the shorter rod you get for dock shooting, the less of a swing you're going to have with your jig, the less you're going to be able to build that jig up as far as for the recoil of that rod, and the less distance you're going to get out of your rod. Now, there's a point where it gets too long, okay? I was playing around this weekend on the lake. I had a 10-foot ACC in the boat. And I'm like, watch this. I'm going to shoot docks with it. Boom. And it was all over the place. So there's a point where it gets too long to shoot docks with. And I've heard some people trying to use an 8-footer and, mixed results there. But I don't go above 7 foot to shoot docks, and I don't go below 6. So 6, 6.5, 7. are great rods to shoot or dock with, in my opinion, but I wouldn't go below 6 just because you do lose some distance, okay? Brad Crawford, is there a technique to reduce crappie slipping off the hook close to the boat? I know it happens, but curious if you have any insight. Yeah, actually, I do. So, you know, if you guys watch bass fishing on TV, MLF, Bassmasters, all these different people that are on TV, when they hook a big fish, they stick their rod in the water and they go, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump, right? Why are they doing that? Why do they not want the fish to jump? Why do they not want the fish to come to the surface? They want the fish to stay down because you can keep that fish, Brad. I'm going to get rid of your comment. You can keep that fish buttoned with that hook when he's under the surface a lot easier than you can when he gets up on top. So when he gets out of the water with that hook, he can shake and create, because at that point your line is in the air from your rod to the hook, right? If he's up on the surface or out of the water, he can shake and he can create slack in that line and throw the hook. So if you keep him in the water, line in the water, fish in the water, you can keep that tension on that hook, and he can't shake as violently underwater as he can above the water. So a fish can't create as much slack in your line under the water. Does that make sense? And without slack, it keeps that hook buttoned. All right. So that's why you see guys that are like, don't jump, stay down, don't come up, wait till it gets to the boat. And then as soon as it gets to the boat, they're doing what? Swinging that joker in as fast as they can. Okay. So try to keep that fish down until he gets to the boat. When he gets to the boat, smooth motion to swing that fish in the boat. I don't know what line you're using or what pound test you're using, Brad, but if you're using 4 or better, you can boat flip a lot of fish. As soon as that fish hits the surface, flip him in. Just try not to play with him any, and try not to let him shake. Mike S., do you have problems with braid coming off the reel? I always have to pull line out with smaller jigs. No, not with the bonehead braid, Mike. I don't. As long as it's wet. If it's not wet, if the braid's not wet and it's the first time I picked up the rod, yeah, it's a little sticky. But as soon as the braid gets wet, I make one cast and reel it back in. No, it spools off just fine. Jamie Nelson, do you have a video dock shooting? Yes, I do. I have several, actually, Jamie. I think most of the ones that I have dock in the name, shooting docks or fishing docks or crappie on docks or something. So marinas, I have a couple that say marinas, the same principle. Shooting marinas is the same as docks. So you can check those out. Heidi, I read something today that said WD-40 is good to put on a plastic jig to lure fish to your jig. Lots of laughs just saying. Yeah, so is Coppertone and Mountain Dew. So if you guys hadn't seen that video, I put Mountain Dew and Coppertone sunblock on my jigs and caught I don't know how many fish, a lot. And it was a hair jig too, so it sucked up the Coppertone. You know it did. Anyway, WD-40 has fish oil in it, Heidi. So, yeah. I mean, it's got fish oil in it. I won't say that one, but WD-40 has fish oil in it. There's other products that have fish oil in them too. But yes, WD-40 does have fish oil. And I've heard a lot of people say use WD-40. I'm just not a believer in scents. And everybody, I think, knows that. I don't believe in scent. I don't believe fish sit down there and sniff. I think they're visual feeders, and I think they are opportunistic feeders, and I think they are vibration feeders because they smell or see with their lateral line, not smell, but see with their lateral line. And I think that's where the vibration and stuff comes in. But anyway, I'm not a big believer in scents. Sorry for all the scent people. See, some people saw that. Heidi, don't forget the Mountain Dew. Some people saw that video. Do you use fish attractants like crappie nibbles? So, Nick, go check out that video. I always hate telling people to go check out a video, but seriously, you need to go look at it. It's pretty comical. It's got the video actually has on my channel. Go to my videos. It actually has a picture of a Mountain Dew and a Coppertone sunblock can on it. So you can't miss the videos. Do these really work? And crappie nibbles. There's a little crappie nibble thing on there. It says, do these really work? I will use a crappie nibble, but it's because of its color. Okay. Crappie nibbles are, I got some right here. Crappie nibbles these taste horrible too, by the way. Somebody's going to say that here in a minute, but these taste horrible. If you don't believe me, try one. But they're a shape and a color, okay? So I believe in profile and I believe in color. Contrasting colors, water clarities, and contrasting colors. So it adds color to your jig, it adds profile to your jig, and therefore I think it does work. Scent, absolutely not. I don't believe it. So. Steven says, we appreciate your teaching us all this crappie info, but what we are really waiting for is the ACC rod with your name on it called the Map Maker. I'd buy a few to catch them like you. Thank you, Steven. I appreciate that, buddy. That's an honor, man. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, a rod with my name on it. That's a thought. Wow. I don't know. Yeah. That's a good idea. I like that idea, actually. Would anybody else buy one if they had it? If I had a wired for crappie rod, would you guys buy it? I think I could build a nice one. I think I could put together a nice rod. If we had an ACC crappie stick that was wired for crappie, would you guys look at it? I can have a conversation if you guys would be willing to buy one. We'd have to change it up a little bit. I've got some ideas. I've got some great ideas, I think. But yeah, that'd be pretty cool. We could put the logo on it and everything. I don't know if I'd put Matt Zenas on it, but I'd put Wired for Crappie on it. Alan says, picked up some slime line on way to Melton Hill over the weekend. You ever use it or opinions on it? Yes, I have used slime line. I actually have some in my boat, Alan, and it's a good line. I don't have any negatives to say about it. It's a mono. It's got memory. It's decent line though. What reels do you recommend with an ACC crappie stick? I recommend a Fluger Try-On size 25. That's what I have on every rod in my boat. A Fluger Try-On size 25. Do you think scents make them hold on to a jig longer if they are biting real light? No, I do not. No, I do not. Thank you, Brad. Brad says he'd gladly buy a rod with my name on it. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think all these yeahs are guys saying they'd buy one too. Yeah. Yes. Yep. Yep. I would buy one or two. Oh, man. Sure would buy one. Hey, y'all are going to make me have a conversation with somebody. That's what's going to happen. Yes, I would. Or two or three. I'm going to have me a conversation. Okay, sure, maybe. Y'all are giving me things to do. Put stuff on the to-do list. I like it. I had never really thought about it, but yeah, more and more guys are going to those shorter rods. I've been using them for years and years and years. That's the way I fished. But even before live scope, now everybody's going to them. It's like, hey guys, I've been here for years. Where y'all been? What's up? I'm just doing my thing like I've always done. Here y'all come. So yeah, I think I could put together a good one. We'll see. See what happens. Slab Happy Lures, thank you, bud, for doing what you're doing. You're welcome, buddy. Thank you for doing what you're doing as well. I appreciate it. All right, guys, we've been on for about an hour. I've got to get in bed. I got to go spend some time with the kids, get them in bed, and then I got to get in bed because it's an early morning in the morning. So we're going to wrap it up, okay? If I missed any questions tonight, I did go through a little quick. I hope I didn't miss anybody, but if I did, I apologize. You guys know me. I always try to get every single comment, question, hello, what's up. I try to hit every one of them because I don't want to leave any guys out. I don't want to leave any of y'all out, right? So I try to get to everybody. But tonight's a little different. I got an early wake up call, and I'm going to be on the road driving, and I'm going to be by myself, which sucks, but it's okay. It's going to be a fun trip. But being by myself, I'm prone to when the rumble strips. So I don't want to do that in the morning. I'm going to get in bed, okay? Let's see. Thanks for your service. Lucas said last question. I see Lucas where he says last question, but I don't see a question. Lamar says a certain time of year you prefer hair jigs over plastics. I prefer hair jigs in the winter over plastics a lot of times. When fish get sluggish, I prefer a hair jig because it'll sit down there and breathe. Hair jig will breathe, where a plastic won't. So when fish get a little sluggish in the winter, I prefer hair jigs a little more. But William says, thanks for your service on this Veterans Day. You're welcome, sir. Thank you for acknowledging it. Andrew says later. See you next week. See you guys later. Heidi, you're welcome. She says thank you for spending time with us. Find shallow. No, Tyler Key. Most of the fish I caught were deeper. Lucas says, what's the biggest crappie you've ever caught? 262. I don't know. I don't know the exact number. I know that's horrible. I'm sorry. I think it was in a tournament. It's like 263, 268. I caught it in a tournament on Watts Bar. Weighted ends, big fish for the day. I'd have to look it back up. I always have to look it up. I have to look at our tournament results to remember the exact weight, but it's 260 something. It was 263, I believe, or 268. I don't remember. I think it's 263. We're going to go with that. It was in the 2.6s. Over 2.5. Have a good night and trip. Thank you. Drive safe. Thank you. Appreciate your service to our great country. You're welcome, sir. Stephen, you're welcome. Happy Vets Day, Dan. Thank you. Don't fall asleep. Drink plenty of dews. I will, Slab Buster. All right, guys. I'm out. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Watch the video. It's coming out tomorrow. I can't remember the time that it's supposed to drop, but it's dropping tomorrow. It'll be from Teleco. Good fish on Teleco. Had a great day. I'm not going to give away too much. Watch the video. I'll tell you guys where I'm catching them, how I'm catching them. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Catch you guys next week on Wednesday. May do some live. Keep your eye open because I may do a little live from Hartwell while I'm down there. I don't know. We'll see. But keep your eye open on YouTube if you get a notification. If you hadn't subscribed, hit that notification button. That way when I go live, spur of the moment stuff, you get a notification on your phone that says, ding, hey, Matt just went live at Wired for Crappie. So anyway, I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys later. God bless.